Hello everyone, this is Superintendent Alan Boucher, and I just wanted to do another Tiger Talk with you. Several weeks ago I did my first Tiger Talk with everyone, and I just wanted to share information about the school district and maybe how things are working, and maybe any information that I think you might find interesting. A couple of weeks ago I was tested and found to be positive, and thankfully I've had mild symptoms. Those symptoms have abated, and the health department has cleared me to come back to work, and so I've been back to work since Friday of last week. And it's so good to be back in the swing of things. I was able to work from home because of the mild symptoms, and so I'm very grateful for the well wishes and for the good encouraging messages that I've received from many of you. So I want to thank you from my heart. The health department process is interesting. Each day they send me an email, and I had to respond to the email about how I was feeling, about my temperature and such. And so then when they felt that everything was fine, they gave me final clearance to be able to come back to work. And so that's kind of a little bit about how that process works in case some of you have to go through that in the future. About 90 students have asked to come back after the end of the first quarter, and so we're now making preparations for a safe return and also making transportation adjustments. And so the next window of opportunity for remote students to return to in-person instruction will be at the end of the second quarter, which will be in January after the Christmas break. So if you would like to return to school, just notify the school toward the end of the second quarter, and we'll make sure we get you back for the beginning of the third quarter. Our Return to Learn plan is constantly being revised as we receive new information from the Illinois Health Department, local health departments. As we review our procedures in the school district, we revise that plan. And recently we revised the plan to include new exclusion guidance from the Illinois Department of Public Health. And whereas before it just said if we have a headache or cough or abdominal pain or congestion, or our taste of or smell has been removed, or there is fatigue, that those were considered symptoms and the students and staff had to be excluded from school. Whereas now they've provided additional guidance that clarifies that a little bit. So now it's the new onset of moderate to severe headache, or a new cough, or abdominal pain from an unknown source, or new congestion, or new loss of taste or smell, and fatigue from an unknown cause. So those things really help us as we clarify those symptoms, and they're included on a chart from the Illinois Department of Public Health, and that chart has been added to the Return to Learn plan. All the other revisions so far have been minor, and you can check out what those revisions are by going to our district website and finding the Return to Learn plan and then reading them for yourself. We always put the recent revisions together at the end of the document so that you can quickly see what those are. On October 15th, we're going to have a deadline for those students who need to have physicals and immunizations. The state has a rule that all students in the state must have updated physicals and immunizations by October 15th of each year. And this affects students in their first year of preschool, kindergarten students, 6th grade students, 9th grade students, and 12th grade students. And the students who do not have the proper paperwork for their physicals or immunizations will not be allowed to attend school after the fall break, which would be October 19th. And that includes our remote students as well. And so the students who are remote or in person, regardless, will not be able to participate in our educational program after the fall break if they do not have those. And you can check the school district website if you have questions about that, or contact your school nurse if you have other questions about that. Now, regarding physicals, a chiropractor's note will not suffice for a physical. It needs to be either a physician or a physician's assistant. This Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to have our annual parent-teacher conferences. This year will be a little different because we're going to have them virtually. If you have already made a schedule with your teacher about when you're going to talk to them, either on the telephone or through a Zoom Meets call or something, that's fine. But if you haven't talked to them or haven't made any contact at all, you might want to do that, because this is the sort of thing that can be left undone if you don't have good communication. And so make sure you make that contact with your child's teacher. We will have early dismissals on those 2 days of Wednesday and Thursday. The high school will be dismissed at 1 o'clock, the elementary at 2 o'clock, and there won't be any afternoon preschool, and we will serve the kids lunches that day. Last spring, when the pandemic began, I just assumed that the being out of school was going to be short-lived, and maybe we'd be back in the middle of April. And come to find out, we had to cancel the rest of the school year, and even then I thought we'd start back to school in August in a more normal fashion. We found out that no, we're still at the very beginning of this virus. And so we had to take on a whole new perspective. We had to realize that this isn't a short sprint, this is a marathon. And as a result, we're going to have to be deliberate and be sure about everything that we're deciding. We had to revisit everything about how we do things as a school district. And so far, things are moving along. And I'm sure that these sorts of arrangements will have to be in place for the rest of the school year. And I know that when you do run a marathon, you eventually hit the wall. And so some of us might have hit the wall already, and some people might still emotionally be hitting the wall at some point during the school year. But we all know from marathon runners that we should push through that wall, that we should continue doing the things that we know are right, and just persevere and hang on. And soon the race will be done, and we'll be able to put this all behind us and get back to a normal routine. But until then, let's all just pull together and to try to stay encouraged. And I'm sure things will work out. And this does conclude the second Tiger Talks. And I thank you for enduring to the end of this talk. And we'll look forward to speaking to you real soon.